Okay, so now I'm back to give you like a little introduction about sort of this section and what we're going to focus on in the class. Um, to start off with, I think just want to frame it a little bit by saying this is just an exploratory class, right? I want us to just really sort of examine mothering and motherhood. What do they mean? What do we think about them? What are our judgments and expectations and perceptions of mothering and motherhood? What do we think about the mothers that we see in the media and in our lives? And where are their judgments about what they're doing and whether they're doing it right or wrong? And what does that even mean? And where do those ideas come from? And how does who we are impact what those judgments and perceptions and sort of expectations are? And by who we are, I mean all the aspects of who we are. So, what is our ethnic background, right? What is our cultural identity? Where do we fall in terms of economics and social status? And what do our own families of origin look like? Do we even desire to be mothers? And what does that mean as women if we don't desire to be a mother? And if we do, are we working mothers? Are we stay-at-home mothers? What does that mean for how we engage our lives and how we operate where mothering and motherhood is concerned? It's just an exploration. I want us to really sort of delve in and ask some questions about why we think what we think and why we understand it the way we currently understand it. Kind of try to unpack it a little bit. And particularly, this cultural context I think is really important. And particularly in Canada, I want us to be thinking about Indigenous women and what ideals around motherhood mean when we think about Indigenous women, and what do they bring to the table? What does that particular narrative around mothering bring to the table in terms of a Canadian context, and how the cultural imagination works where these two concepts are concerned, and how we experience them and how we interpret them. Like I said in that first sort of like welcome video, that line from Betty McKenna, Elder Betty, who is a magnificent person. I've been lucky enough to know her. But she says, our warriors will come full circle so that mothering will once again not be separated by gender. And so when I teach the 100, I frame mothering as being an act, right? It's an action, it's a verb. And while motherhood can, as an institution that has been sort of imposed, and it's a set of expectations, and it's an already established sort of thing unto itself with prescribed behaviors and roles and how to do it right and what not to do. It can function as a set of oppression, right? But mothering, for me and for lots of other feminists actually, see motherhood or mothering as a verb. Mothering is the actions and behaviors. It's all of the things that we sort of think about, but those are not gender divided, right? Those don't have anything to do with gender. They're behaviors and characteristics and actions that anyone can take up. And so when we think about mothering in this way, we really can explore it outside of its sort of very confined gendered box. What happens when we think about mothering for same-sex parents that don't have a female identified parent? Is there no mothering happening there? And sort of the flip side of that then is, what is fathering? And what does that mean when we're thinking about mothering? There's, it's a more complicated thing, I think, than we are accustomed to sort of thinking about it. And certainly if we're walking down the street, we think things, we make judgments, we have expectations and perceptions of the people that we see, and certainly the people that we see in social media. And often they are not very generous, and the judgments are often kind of harsh and nasty. And so having a chance to kind of explore what these things mean and why we have those judgments and where do they come from and where do we feel them, and where do the pressures influence how we think about ourselves as parents or potential parents or not wanting to be parents. All of those things I think are really key to thinking about what we mean by mothering in particular, but also, is mothering a thing that's biologically driven? Or can it be the action and the verb that, I sort of expect it to be? And, sorry about the noise in the background. Can it be, something that can be taken up? And is it possible for parenting to be, perhaps a way for us to think about what it means to raise up little people. What about the biological piece if you have carried a child? What about what it means to be an adoptive parent or mother or father, perhaps in a same-sex relationship? What about trans folks? There's all of these pieces, and motherhood and mothering have really been driven by sort of the biological and gendered narrative that says that this is about women. And in some ways, maybe it is about women. But I think we need to explore what it means in its entirety. And so that's sort of what I'm hoping to do this semester, and what I'm wanting you to kind of keep in mind as you move through this, sort of introduction and the first few readings, and kind of to frame your initial, engagement and your initial jump in and dive into your books. So I want to leave you with those few things and those few questions to kind of like ponder and think about and keep in the back of your mind as you sort of get started. I'll be back again with a video for section 2. And also let me say that I know that there are some issues with textbooks. So I am working on getting that resolved, and we'll be sending out an email shortly here, I hope, with some information about what to do with this textbook shortage. Okay, take care. I hope that helps you to sort of think about what this course is going to look like, and the things we're going to explore, and to sort of frame your own, like I said, first, dive in. Okay, see you soon.